What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video on overcoming retroactive jealousy. My name is Matt, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 4 retroactive jealousy lies. 4 lies in overcoming retroactive jealousy that you may have been told somewhere along the way, but actually really are not true. Or maybe they are somewhat true, but in order to overcome, it's going to be a lot easier that you know different ways of approaching retroactive jealousy rather than do these ways. So 4 ways that you might have been lied to regarding your retroactive jealousy. And number 1 is that retroactive jealousy is genetic, meaning it runs in your family. It means no matter what you do, you're automatically going to get it because your mom had it, or your dad had it, or your grandma had it, or all these people had it. And that could actually not be farther from the truth. So you do not have to worry if someone else in your family suffers from retroactive jealousy. It doesn't mean that you have it genetically hardwired into your system and that no matter what, you will never be able to overcome it because it's a part of you. No, couldn't be further from the truth. So things like anxiety, which is, branches of retroactive jealousy, even maybe OCD, might be a little bit genetically, programmed, I guess, throughout your family and things like that. But this is not enough to not be able to overcome it, if that makes sense. So your family might have a history of anxiety or getting a little more anxious and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that no matter what, you are always going to be anxious. No matter what, you're always going to be this. Like, it's going to make your chances higher. Although there's ways of coping and dealing with these things and you'll be able to do it. So I don't want you to think that if other people have suffered from retroactive jealousy in your family that you know of, that there's no way out of it, that you're automatically going to suffer from it and it will always be a part of you, because that's not the case at all. So any steps, all the steps we talk about in overcoming in all the videos in the course and things like that, if you can do those, you will easily overcome. In my own family, going back through my dad, very, very stressed out people, lots of anxiety. And when I was younger, within the last 3 years or so, I was always super anxious, stressed, things like that. And it will still creep up on me in times. But now that I understand what thoughts are and what stress is and anxiety, and then it's all false, that it's actually not real at all, that it's just a trick that our brain plays on us, I've been able to handle situations so much better, and I don't suffer from any stress or anxiety or anything like that anymore. I can basically tell the difference between, should I be stressing out right now, and is my life actually in danger, and no, okay, this is just a mind trick being played. So keep that in mind. There's always ways to overcome. So don't think you're genetically wired this way and there's no way out, because there definitely is going to be a way out. All right, and for number 2, you may have been told at some point that in order to get over retroactive jealousy, you have to find the answers to all of these questions that you have. You need to know the number of sexual partners that your significant other had in the past. You need to know the names of all of them. You need to know the locations. You need to know this. You need to see pictures. You need to have all the answers so you can be 100%, feel comfortable, feel confident, so on and so forth, and blah, 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 blah. And that could not be further from the truth. So there is no end to these questions. And, I get a lot of people that will ask me through the course and things like that, can I just ask my partner one more question? Please, just one more question. If I know the answer to this question, I can overcome my RJ. I'll never suffer. I just am very curious about this one thing. However, that one thing is now going to turn into 2 things, to 3 things, to 4 things. Your brain is always going to be looking for danger. That's what our brain is there, to protect us from dying. Way back from our ancestors with, who knows, dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers and whatever. It's to protect us from danger and dying and predators and our enemies. And so your brain is going to constantly look for problems. And so that one question that you need that answer for, you might find relief in the moment when you ask it, but as days go by, you're going to generate more and more and more and more and more and more and more. It's just like an alcoholic. I just want one more drink. After one more drink, I'll be okay. I promise I'll never drink again. How often does that really happen? Hardly ever. That spirals out more and more and more and more and more. So to be able to find answers, or this one answer will get me out, that's a lie. That will not happen. I've never ever experienced anybody that I've heard of that just had one question and now they'll never suffer again. It will always bring up more and more and more. So don't think you'll be able to think your way out of this or get enough questions answered that you're going to feel okay, because that's just going to make things worse and it's going to spiral out of control. And like I've talked about here, I had so many questions for my wife, who's now my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time when I was suffering horribly, horribly. So many questions about, where you went with these people, who they were, da 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 da, and that I didn't find the answers to. And like now thinking back, I don't even remember what the questions were. I don't even remember what it was I wanted to know, because now I see that it doesn't matter, that it's not a thought that I'm attached to anymore. So even if the thought would come in, there's no reason to react to it. I don't have that anxious response to it. My brain knows that there's no danger in, finding out where you went on a date with somebody or finding out a person's name. There's no danger there, so there's no reason for me to latch on and need to know the answer. So you'll get to that point where all these questions that you think you need to know the answers to, you'll come to find out that you actually don't care. As weird as that seems now, which you might step back and be like, yeah, no, I care. I do care. And I did too. I really cared, like to the point where I was so feeling sick that I almost wanted to end my life because of retroactive jealousy, because I needed to know everything, because I needed the answers to everything. And now I'm standing here feeling happy, feeling great. The Florida sun is shining in the window on me. And I can tell you that I didn't need to know the answers. I don't even know what the questions were anymore. So keep that in mind. You do not need to know the answers to everything. And just one more question is never one more question. Don't give into that compulsion. Hang on to it, kind of feel that anxiety, and then it will pass, I promise you. All right, so number 3 is you need to avoid the triggers. You need to avoid the things that set off that retroactive jealousy anxious response. You need to avoid them altogether because they're bad, they're horrible, they're terrible. Well, that could not be further from the truth. So again, retroactive jealousy is a form of OCD. And the best way to get over OCD or cure OCD is by exposing yourself to these triggers and then not doing your compulsion. Remember, obsessive compulsive disorder. You obsess over something. In this case, we're obsessing over thoughts of our significant other's past. And then we're doing a compulsion. So we're trying to mask the pain. We're asking questions. We're going online looking for answers. We're exploring the thoughts to rationalize it, playing mental movies in our head. This is all compulsions. So in order to stop, get rid, we actually need to feel these triggers. We need to trigger ourselves and then not do these compulsions. By doing this over and over and over again, you're going to teach your brain that there's no danger in thinking these thoughts. There's no danger in any of this. And that's the only way to do it. If you constantly are hiding from these thoughts that come in and are, again, digging deeper into the thought, trying to find answers, so on and so forth, you're telling your brain that this is dangerous. This is a dangerous situation. I'm looking for answers. I'm trying to find this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And you're just feeding the retroactive jealousy. You're telling your brain again, yes, this is a dangerous situation. This is a dangerous thought. You need to respond. You need to send more adrenaline through my veins. You need to get me more ramped up. And that's the exact opposite of what you want to do. So when you avoid your triggers and avoid the things that set you off, you're basically keeping yourself exactly where you are. So if you actually expose yourself to the triggers, expose yourself to the things that that don't make you feel good, whether it's just a random thought that comes in, whether it's a name of a guy or a girl that was your partner's ex, and the name or the thought sets you off, that's good as long as you don't do a compulsion. If you can get triggered, feel the emotional response, feel that anxious response, and then refocus your thoughts on something else, not do a compulsion, continue to do this over and over and over again, you're teaching your brain that, hey, I've thought these thoughts, you've sent this anxious response to me, but I'm still alive. I was never in danger. And your brain is smart in this way that it's going to catch on and realize, oh, okay, they thought these thoughts. I sent all this adrenaline to their body. There was no reason for me to do that because there's no danger here. And so the anxious responses will soon stop. Your brain's going to realize there was no need to do this. That's why we say, like, do you ever stop thinking about these thoughts? It's like you do, but a thought might come in every once in a while, even now, about a past situation, but it just comes in and goes out one side, in one side of your head and out the other. It's just like there's no attachment to the thought because your brain is basically saying, oh, well, there's the thought, but there's no danger. I'm not in trouble. I don't need to send this anxious response. And the only way to get to that point is to expose yourself to these triggered situations. And I've got a ton more videos on exposing yourselves and ways to do that. And there's also step-by-step stuff in the course. If you're not a member of the course, feel free to do that, about exposing yourself to the triggers, not doing a compulsion, and finding relief in that fashion. So that was number 3. And our final one, number 4, is retroactive jealousy is not curable. You're going to have it forever, no matter what happens. Ha 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 ha. Bad luck for you. Again, cannot be further from the truth. So I stand here before you telling you that for 13 years of my life, I finally got over it in 2017. So what is that, before 2004 or so? In my first relationship, I was 14 years old. Yeah, there we go, 14 years old. I started suffering from retroactive jealousy when the girl that I was dating at the time had previously dated a really good friend of mine, and I could not get the image out of my head of them kissing, of them doing all this stuff, and it just bothered me so much. So I ended the relationship. Later, I'd get into another relationship with someone else. Later on down the line, I'd find out about their past. It would upset me. It would drive me crazy. And again, the whole time I was like, it's their fault. You shouldn't have done this. How dare you? How dare you? You're the reason I feel this way, right? And so I'd end that relationship. And then as I got older, these situations got worse, because instead of like, oh, they kissed the guy, oh, they went out on a date with him, it was like, oh, they had sex with this guy, oh, they gave a blowjob to this guy, they did. And so my retroactive jealousy got worse and worse and worse. And then it culminated when I met my current wife now, with my girlfriend obviously at the time, and I was so in love with her and thought life could not be any better. Retroactive jealousy has not affected me at all. It's wonderful. And then, of course, 3-4 months into the relationship, boom, I found out about some stuff from her past, and I went crazy. I went insane. And that was the one thing. I was so in love with my wife that I'm like, I cannot break this relationship off because of how I feel, because I could rationalize it a little bit, but man, it was so painful, so painful, that there were days, again, I'd wake up and I'd feel like ending my life. I thought the only way to get out of this pain is to commit suicide. That's how horrible it was, and what I thought was, part of me forever. And it got to the point where I was almost like, you know what, okay, fine, but I love this girl so much that I'm willing to live my life every single day feeling like this to be with her. And when I finally, submitted to the retroactive jealousy instead of fighting it and just said, okay, RJ, you know what, you win. Come into my life every day. Come on in, welcome. I'm going to live my life anyway. I'm going to love this girl anyway. I'm going to do the things that I usually do anyway. And, I'd stop doing the compulsions. I just let the thoughts in. I felt it and I kept going. Finally, when I submitted is when it went away. So that's the big thing in curing retroactive jealousy. It's not permanent at all. But when you give attention to it, when you do these things and keep exploring the thoughts and keep doing these compulsions, you're giving it more and more life. You're giving it attention. You're telling your brain there's danger. So your brain's going to keep sending adrenaline responses, anxious responses to you, to fight or flight signal, so you can fight off this dangerous animal that's in front of you, this dangerous RJ dragon, which it's not really in front of you, it's imaginary, right? So it is curable. Don't let anybody ever tell you that this is something you're going to have to live with forever and so on and so forth, because you won't. As long as you basically submit to it, say, okay, come into my life, you can have these thoughts, bring it on, whatever you want to do, I'm going to live my life anyway. When you can get to that point, the retroactive jealousy will dwindle away, because you're not giving it any attention, you're not giving it any compulsions, you're telling your brain, you're allowing, you're welcoming it. That's almost like a Buddha thing, almost just allowing thoughts to come in And that's the secret. That's the answer out of the whole thing. So don't let anybody tell you that it's not curable, because it absolutely 100% is. I consider my retroactive jealousy on a scale of 9 to 10 like a 12. It was horrible, 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 horrible. Days I couldn't even get out of bed. Again, days I wanted to end my life. And here I am again, standing here with you, happy as ever, teaching you guys. Hopefully you're getting a lot from these videos. So that kind of wraps up today's video, guys. Again, if you want to be a member of the Facebook group, it is absolutely free, and the link is below. It's just a group. You can come and talk about retroactive jealousy, get some advice from other members. If you want to be a member of the course to get access to Q&A section, I try to respond to all questions in the Q&A within 24 hours. That is also in the link below, and please subscribe for more videos. I'm going to have many more to come, and hopefully, by the time this is all said and done, every single person that's ever watched a video will have overcome retroactive jealousy. That is the goal. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.